I cheated with my husband's friend in our home, while he watched everything and said nothing. I thought I was safe, loved, untouchable. He worked long hours so I could stay home with our kids. He trusted me blindly, worshipped me honestly. And I betrayed him, not once, not by accident, but again and again, with his best friend, a man he called brother, in the same house while our kids slept. He knew. He just watched and waited, until the day he walked out and tore my world apart, leaving me with nothing but my own guilt. I always thought heartbreak would come like a thunderstorm, loud, sudden, violent. I never imagined it would move in quietly, unpack its bags, and sleep in the guest room across the hall. My name is Rachel, and I had what most would call a beautiful life. A kind, stable husband named Josh, who loved me more than anything in the world. 2 sweet kids, Mia and Lucas, who saw the best in everything. A home built not of luxury, but love. We were the family people envied at church, admired at school events. Smiles, hand-holding, inside jokes. Josh and I had built a life on trust, on faith, on years of unwavering commitment. And I destroyed it. Not in a moment of passion, not by accident, but slowly, deliberately, and without the ability to stop myself once I'd started. I betrayed my husband over and over again, and worst of all, I did it right under his roof. It started with a phone call on a Tuesday morning. Josh came home from work early. He'd just finished a double shift at the hospital, and told me his old army buddy Dean had hit a rough patch. He just needs a place to crash for a little while, he said. He lost his job, broke up with his girlfriend, and he's got nowhere to go. He saved my life once overseas. I owe him. Of course, I said yes. What else could I say? Josh rarely asked for anything. Dean arrived the next day with one duffel bag and a quiet smile. He was taller than Josh, with sun-worn skin and tired, watchful eyes. He didn't talk much at first, just polite thank yous, nods, and a barely there presence. He spent his days walking around town looking for work, his nights mostly in the guest room with the door closed. At first, I barely noticed him. But something shifted after the first week. Josh worked long shifts, sometimes 18 hours straight, and Dean and I started crossing paths more. I'd find him in the kitchen fixing a cabinet that squeaked, out in the backyard, patching the fence. He never asked for anything, never boasted, but every day he made himself useful. One afternoon, I came home from grocery shopping to find him fixing a loose tile in the hallway. "It's been bothering me," he said. "Figured I'd do something about it." I thanked him, and for the first time, he looked me in the eyes a little longer than necessary. That look was where it started. I didn't tell Josh about the tile, or the look, or the fact that later that night, I replayed it in my mind more times than I should have. It wasn't that I wanted anything to happen. I just liked the attention. Liked being seen. Josh had always been loving, but over the years he'd become predictable. Reliable, yes, but also routine. Wake up, kiss on the cheek, work, dinner, kiss goodnight, repeat. And here was Dean, new and mysterious, watching me in ways Josh hadn't in a long time. I felt it again the next morning when I walked into the kitchen wearing a summer dress and caught Dean staring just a second too long. He looked away, but the damage was done. That night, I stood in front of the mirror, applying mascara before Josh got home. I told myself it was for him, but it wasn't. A week later, Josh picked up a double weekend shift to cover for someone on vacation. The house was empty, too empty without the kids. Dean and I were alone, the silence thick and heavy between us. Poured 2 glasses of wine, hands trembling slightly, and handed him one. We settled onto the porch, the night air cool against my skin as we talked. First casually, then with an intensity that neither of us tried to hide. His stories of the past, of battles fought and ghosts carried, echoed in the quiet. I shared my own fears, the loneliness I'd buried beneath the surface. The connection between us deepened with every word. Then, without warning, the distance between us vanished. I don't remember who moved first. His hand brushing mine, his eyes locking onto mine. but suddenly we were close. His lips found mine, firm and demanding. My breath hitched. My heart slammed against my ribs. I knew it was wrong. I knew what I was doing. But in that moment, I let desire drown out reason. Dean's hands slid around my waist, pulling me closer. The world narrowed to the sound of our ragged breaths and the heat between us. I didn't pull away, didn't stop when his hands explored my back, the softness of my skin. It was urgent, reckless. Every touch, every kiss was a betrayal carved into my soul. I felt the weight of my choices crushing me even as I gave in. For that night, I was no longer a wife, no longer a mother. I was just a woman caught in a moment she couldn't undo. And Josh? He didn't need to know. Not yet. I told myself it would be a one-time mistake, that I'd wake up sick with guilt and confess everything. But the next morning, Josh came home with breakfast and flowers, and I couldn't do it. I sat across from him at the kitchen table, my lips still bruised from Dean's, and smiled like nothing had happened. And then I did it again. Over the next 3 weeks, I became a stranger to myself. I avoided Josh's eyes, avoided his touch. I made excuses not to be intimate. Dean and I started sneaking around like teenagers, quick, reckless encounters in the laundry room, in the car, in the hallway while Josh slept upstairs. Each time, I swore it was the last. And each time I went back, I began comparing them. Josh, with his gentle patience, his soft hands, his stability. Dean, with his rough edges, his fire, his danger. I convinced myself that what I had with Dean was passion, that it meant something deeper, that maybe I'd outgrown Josh. I didn't know it then, but Josh had already seen everything. He knew. He'd known for weeks. He found out after the first time, when Dean forgot to log out of a text message on our family computer. Josh didn't confront me, didn't rage or scream. Instead, he installed cameras, one above the kitchen door, another in the basement, one hidden in the guest hallway. He watched every stolen kiss, every whisper, every touch. And he said nothing. He played the role of perfect husband. He kissed me good morning, helped with the dishes, tucked in the kids, all while carrying the weight of betrayal so deep it would have broken most men. Then, one Saturday, he told me we were going to his parents' house for a family dinner. Said it was important. Asked me to wear the dress he liked. I obliged, thinking things were starting to mend. I even told myself I'd end it with Dean after the weekend, that I'd find my way back to Josh for real. We arrived at the house. His whole family was there. His parents, his sister, her husband, even our kids who'd gone early with Josh's mom. Then Josh stood up, raised a glass, and said, "Before we eat, I have something to show everyone, a little highlight reel of what Rachel's been up to lately." I felt my stomach drop. He pulled out a USB drive and plugged it into the TV. And there, on the massive 60-inch screen, right in front of his entire family, was a video montage. Me, Dean, our stolen moments, captured in grainy silence, kisses, touches, glances that stripped me bare. The room froze. His mother's hand flew to her mouth, eyes wide with disbelief. His father's jaw clenched so tight I thought it might crack. The kids stared in stunned silence, their faces pale and confused, too young to understand, but old enough to feel the weight of the moment. No one said a word. Josh's sister wiped a tear from her cheek, biting her lip as if to hold back a scream. His younger brother just stared at the screen, shaking his head slowly, like he couldn't believe what he was seeing was real. And Josh, he sat back in his chair, expression unreadable, but I could see the storm raging behind his eyes. I ran out of the house, sobbing. How could I stay? I didn't look back. I don't know what happened in there after. Josh didn't follow. That was the last time Josh looked at me. Really looked at me. The next day, he served me divorce papers. He got full custody. Of course he did. The footage made sure of that. In court, he didn't yell, didn't accuse. He simply showed the judge the videos and said, "I don't want to punish her. I just want to protect my kids." He won everything. The house, the car, the kids. My reputation shredded. Dean? He disappeared. I was too much drama, apparently. I don't know what happened between him and Josh. Now I live in a one-bedroom apartment above a liquor store. I work as a receptionist. My kids visit twice a month, supervised. Mia barely looks at me. Lucas cries when he has to leave his dad. Josh hasn't spoken to me since the day he pressed play on that video. I see him sometimes. At the grocery store, school events. He walks past me like I'm a ghost. Smiles for the kids. Talks kindly to the teachers. And when I look at him, I wonder how I ever thought he wasn't enough. The worst part? I still write him letters. I don't send them. I just write them every night. Apologies he'll never read. Pages filled with memories of the life I destroyed. Not a day goes by that I don't relive it. Not a day passes without the ache of what I threw away. He brought a stranger into our home, and I let that stranger ruin me. And I'll spend the rest of my life paying for it.